जय सुर नर वंदिता जामवंत सेविता। जय सुर नर वंदिता जामवंत सेविता। जय 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 राघवा जानकी वल्लभा। जय 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 राघवा जानकी वल्लभा। जनार्दन जगन्नाथ जानकी कांत राम। जनार्दन जगन्नाथ जानकी कांत राम। जनन मरण वर्जिता जनकपुर विराजिता। जनन मरण वर्जिता जनकपुर विराजिता। जय 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 राघवा जानकी वल्लभा। जय 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 राघवा जानकी वल्लभा। जानकी वल्लभा जानकी वल्लभा। हे वायुसुवन मेरा कोटि नमन। हे वायु हे वायुसुवन मेरा कोटि नमन। हे वायुसुवन हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। एक बार मुझे अपने दर्शन दे। एक बार मुझे अपने दर्शन दे। मेरे कोटि कष्टों को क्षण में भंग करो। मेरे कोटि कष्टों को क्षण में भंग करो। हे वायुसुवन मेरा कोटि नमन। हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। तूने नाम लिया भव पार किया। तूने नाम लिया भव पार किया। मेरा हाथ भी लो दुख तार करो। मेरा हाथ भी लो दुख तार करो। मेरा कोटि नमन। हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। हर रोज तेरी है याद मुझे, हर रोज तेरी है याद मुझे। तू भी याद मुझे एक बार करो। याद मुझे एक बार करो। हे वायु सुवन मेरा कोटि नमन। हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। हे राम प्यारे तुझे प्यार मेरा। जय 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 मन मोहना, जय 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 मधुसूदना। जय 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 मन मोहना, जय 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 मधुसूदना। केशवा माधवा, माधवा केशवा, केशवा माधवा, माधवा केशवा। गोपाला गोपालना जय, राधा गोपाला गोपालना। जय 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 मन मोहना, जय 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 मधुसूदना। जय 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 मन मोहना, जय 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 मधुसूदना। जय 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 मधुसूदना। कृष्ण कन्हैया लाल की जय। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। Okay, so we are seeing this very wonderful text called as Yoga VAASISHTHA SAARA SANGRAHAH, a collection of 84 verses or so by our Puja Guruji on or from the Yoga VAASISHTHA, which is a big text, and Guruji also selects out a invocation mantra. Let us all join in chanting this mantra, which is there in beginning. Number 1. Oh. We can join together. Yata sarvani bhutani pratibhanti sthitani cha yatraivo pashamam yanti tasmai satyatmane namaha. Salutations to that Atma, reality behind the whole universe. That is the idea. Okay, now when we left it yesterday, we were seeing chapter 3. Okay. And verse number verse number 4. That was the last one we saw. Now what is going on? Two things. Please see this. The topic of a Yoga VAASISHTHA overall is Mukti. What to talk of Yoga VAASISHTHA? The topic of all our scriptures is really Mukti. Now see, it is like in a university, you can get all the way up to PhD degree, isn't it? PhD, then after that you can perhaps get some other things, but degrees, they stop there. PhD. Now, university is not the only schooling that is going on in the nation, isn't it? They are all preschools, kindergartens, there's primary school, high school, different types of names you have in your places, right? But really, in the end, the goal of all of them is education, isn't it? So you have different levels of schooling, and the goal of all of them is education. And we cannot say that some is more important or some is less important. Suppose you say primary school is not important. I don't want to go to primary school. I'll go straight to high school. How it will work? It can't work. We have to go through all the various levels until we get to the highest form of education, isn't it? Well, it is verily is the same thing really about our scriptures. The goal is mukti. But there are different types of practices at different levels, and there are different types of what we call sadhana. And maybe I told you when I came to Pittsburgh last time that really our whole Bharatiya Sanskriti or the whole Shastra tradition of India has only these two things. There's sadhana, spiritual practice, and mukti. बस दो ही चीज है और कुछ नहीं है. सब कुछ उसमें fit कर सकते हैं. You can fit everything into these two things. See, even householder's life, this sadhana. What do you think? Householder's life is just like that or what? Every single thing. You go to work every day. That work is supposed to be your sadhana, because through that work, whatever job you're doing, one is supposed to learn to work and offer the work to a higher altar. That is the idea. So your job and your householder's life and every thing is supposed to be sadhana. If you go shopping, it's supposed to be sadhana. Of course, this is a far cry from what really happens. That's a different matter altogether. I go shopping there. Why? I should be very clear in my mind. There's a family at home. They need these things to keep them alive and healthy and, to keep everything going. So I'm going to shop for this reason. And in this way, I'm doing my duty to that family. So I'm going to shop for that. Of course, today people shop for pleasure and all, like I'm saying. That's a different matter. Huh? But every single thing is supposed to be sadhana. So we only have in the Shastras sadhana, and the goal is mukti. So that is what is happening here also. The overall topic of this Yoga VAASISHTHA, like all the scriptures, is mukti. And different types of sadhanas are given throughout the scriptures. So now, what exactly is the sadhana which is going on here? Well, just now, the door to mukti, one of the things given there was vichara. Just now we saw 4 doors to mukti. Shama, vichara, santushtaha and sadhu sangaha. 4 doors we saw. So, what is happening here is vichar. Because human beings may have a lot of emotions, right? The emotional faculty may be very active and we have emotions, feelings, likes, dislikes, all sorts of things. But he always has questions with regards to even emotions. Why are these emotions coming? What is the cause of these emotions? How to get rid of these emotions? Or how to feed these emotions? Whatever. It's always questions will be there. That is an intellectual thing. Whenever questions come, I want to know. We want to know about emotions also. The highest faculty of the human being really is the intellectual faculty. And until that is satisfied, no progress will be made. There will always be questions and always be all sorts of doubts. For a doubt to be cleared, one has to intellectually deliberate on this thing. So, the intellectual faculty must be satisfied, or must be educated, and must be groomed properly, taken care of. You cannot just ignore one part of the human being, you see. The intellectual faculty is very, very important. So here what is going on, the sage VAASISHTHA Maharaj is speaking about a cosmic process which is, I told you, present at the cosmic level and which also is reflected in every individual thing. And what is the cosmic process? The cosmic process is the whole cosmos which you see in front of us is coming into a state of manifestation and again going back into a state of demanifestation. And the translation of Srishti and Pralay, the translation of Srishti and Pralay, these 2 words in Sanskrit have to be revised by all of us, right? Because please see what has happened. We are speaking in a foreign language, isn't it? We are speaking English. And all of you who are listening to me, all of you have been educated in English. And what has happened with that is, with the language comes the ideas connoted by those words of that language. So whatever the word in that language means, when we study in that language, that is the meaning we will get for that thing. So in the English language, there is a word called as creation. Creation means what? It means at one time that the world was not there and then God created it. But the word in Sanskrit is srij. Srij. Srijati. And from that srishti has come. But that word does not mean creation. But because we have not learned all our ideas through Sanskrit, we have learned all our ideas through English. And now even when we study the word srij in Sanskrit, we apply our English interpretation to a Sanskrit word. And then we have gotten this thing wrong. If you see the Sanskrit dictionary for the word srij, you will see srij means to emit, to usher, to move from one place to another, to discharge like that. It means like in the Kathopanishad, how Kathopanishad or Mundaka Upanishad, how the fire throws up the sparks. Well, the sparks have to already be in the fire. Where sparks will come from ice or what? No, the sparks have to already be present in the fire, then only they can come up. So when there is srishti, really everything is already there in a state of unmanifest, like a mango tree unmanifest inside the mango seed. The tree has to already be there. It cannot just come from nothing. So the whole universe is like this. Everything coming from a state of unmanifest, coming into manifestation, and again going back into manifestation. So the whole world in total, and also every individual thing around you, you will see. And this thing was not there in 1964. Was it there? No. But it came into manifestation now. You think in 2064 it will be there? No. It again will go out. But the exact blueprint and model for this thing is always there in the mind of Ishvara. It doesn't vanish. That is the unmanifest state of this thing. So that is why Bhagavan is telling to Arjuna, we have always been there. Natve vaham jatu nasam natvam neme janabhipaha. We have always been there, and we will always be there. So the universe is said to be anadi ananta, all things, anadi ananta, all things, and always there. So coming from that state of unmanifest into manifestation is what we call as srishti. And there's srishtika, there's one who is responsible. Just like how there is a deity who is responsible for this direction, a deity responsible for that direction, deity is responsible for all the different things in the universe. There's a deity who is responsible for srishti, to oversee the coming of things from unmanifest to manifest. It's called Brahmaji. Right? Now, that is with regard to all the seen things which we have in front of us. The world, yadidam drishyate sarvam jagat sthavara jangamam tat sushupta viva swapnaha kalpanti, at the end of a kalpa, pravinashyati. And pravinashyati is to be taken. The names and forms are all dissolved. That is the idea. That is what is happening in the world only. Names and forms are being dissolved. The substantive material or essence of things, that remains permanently. Like all the water in the ocean remain permanently. All the names and forms and sizes of waves, shapes and all, they come and go. But after all, the amount of water in the ocean is still same. Okay. Now, just now, what was spoken about is all the drishya vastu, things which are seen in front of us. We know it has all come from the unmanifest, and it will be here for some time. Then the whole thing will again dissolve and go back into the unmanifest. What is that unmanifest? That is what is now discussed in number 5. Now see this number 5. Tatastimitasam gambhiram. Hold on. Tatastimita gambhiram na tejo na tamastatam anakhyam anabhivyaktam sat kinchida vashishyate. Tata stimita gambhiram na tejo na tamaha tatam. But that is whole universe at the end of kalpante, at the end of a kalpa, what happens? It goes back into that unmanifest, and the unmanifest is being described now. What is that unmanifest? Stimita gambhiram. It is a vast limitless, tranquil stillness. A vast and limitless, tranquil stillness. And it cannot be called as anything. It cannot also be called as nothing. That is a wonderful thing. What is that? It says, na tejaha, na tamaha, tatam. It is not light, nor is it darkness. It means all the names and forms which we see, they go back into this vast, limitless state of tranquil stillness. That state is not light, nor is it darkness. Sometimes we give names to it. Just now we'll see. The womb of the universe. Like people like those type of names. Because from that vast, limitless stillness, deep, gambhir stillness, comes everything in the universe. So it's called the womb of the universe. Anakhyam, nameless. Anabhivyaktam, it is unmanifest. Sat kinchit avashishyate, it is called as Sat. And it is neither darkness nor light. It's a profound existence, translation says. Nameless and unmanifest. Neither light nor darkness. Like that. So, see what happens. Why this type of description is given for that great big unmanifest? It's a very simple thing. Because the mind, which is capable of describing things, that mind also dissolves into that great vast stillness. Now, when the mind comes back out, the mind now starts perceiving all these things which are in front of us. The mind doesn't know from where it has come. Do you know from where you have come? Or which family you were in before? Or any such? We don't know. It's actually very much akin to sleep. Think about sleep. While sleeping, does anybody say to themselves, "Oh, I am sleeping so nicely"? Anybody says? Because the faculty by which we say things, which is antakarana, mind and all we are using, that faculty is asleep. How it will say anything? The faculty by which we know anything before we say, that faculty is asleep. It is the same for all beings and things in the universe when we go into the state of unmanifest. Because the capabilities of that mind now has gone into dissolution, means dissolved. See, dissolution does not mean that destroyed. They are two different things. If you dissolve sugar in water, you do not destroy sugar. Okay. Sugar is very much there in the water, correct? So in the same way, when all things in the universe dissolve, they are very much there. But they are not functioning or appearing in name and form. You see? Like the sugar is not seen anymore when you dissolve it in the water. But it is very much there. So also in this unmanifest, all things dissolve and they are there. But see, if you dissolve sugar and salt, both in a cup of water, 1 spoon of sugar, 1 spoon of salt, so they will both be there or not? Yes. And if you look, you will not see anything. But both will be there. In the very same way, I dissolve, you dissolve, all things in the universe dissolve. They are all there, only waiting again to manifest. So that dissolution, that is called as pralay, manifestation, is called as srishti. And what is being said here? The solution formed, when you dissolve sugar and salt both in a cup of water, that solution is called what now? Nobody knows. What is it called? And you don't see anything there also. Very much like that. So the great, vast womb of the universe, and many names are given. So it's a great sthimita gambhiram, great, vast, profound, tranquil stillness, which contains every possible seedling of the universe. You see? Anakyam, nameless. Anabhivyaktam. It is also unmanifest. Satkinchidavashishyate. Okay. So, that remains only. And from that all things again come. Did I miss out one? That was number 5. Now number 6. That one reality has been given many names. It means from that one reality all things manifest, and into that one reality again all things demanifest. I don't know if there's such a word. Demanifest. We make up. English language also has a flexibility. You can make up what is there, as long as you get the meaning what I am telling. They manifest and they demanifest, like that. But that has been given many names. Okay, now see this number 6. While just now it was saying it is nameless, anakyam. Now it is many names. What are some of these names? Very nice names. See. Ritamatma param brahma satyamityadhika budhaihi kalpita vyavaharartham tasya sanya mahatmanaha. That great big essence which we are just talking about, that stimita gambhiram, it is called as ritam. Ritam is a, and you can see the Vedic tradition taking a nice makeover and then resurfacing in a new context. This Rita word comes in Vedas. So usually used in, it's a Vedic, means ancient Vedic word. Rita. Rita means the essence, the truth, reality. So it is called as Ritam in the Vedas. The vast, big, Stimita Gambhiram. It is called as Ritam. The essence, the truth. It is called as Atma, the self of all things. The self of all things, the essence of all things. Atma word is a very common word everywhere in our scriptures. So you have to study this word also very much. And these are words that we should be reflecting on, contemplating on when we are sitting in a taxi or a bus or in a plane, or you're sitting behind the steering wheel instead of thinking about election. Election is gone. So who will win will win. You can't do anything, isn't it? Instead of thinking, think about Atma. Atma is the self of all things. Everything has its own particular essence, but everything also has a common essence. Common essence. You take any object, right? This object is called as watch. This object is called as microphone, right? So there are certain features in this object which makes it a watch and not a microphone. And there are certain features in this object, characteristics and traits in this object which makes it a microphone and not a watch. Okay, so that is its own individual essence which makes it what it is. But if you go deeper into both of them, you will realize that this thing is made up of atoms, electrons, protons, neutrons, ityadi, right? And this is also made up of atoms and electrons, protons, neutrons, quarks, neutrinos, strings, and all the subatomic particles. And if you go deeper than that, both of them will be made up of energy, according to physics, isn't it? According to physics, they are both energy in motion. So, when you go deeper, they have a common essence. They are both energy now. And at this a more superficial level, they have different essence. Where a microphone cannot tell time. And a watch cannot conduct sound. See, I'm speaking to microphone and you're hearing me all the way there. If I speak into a watch, you'll not hear me. You can't even watch me if I speak into a watch. And the camera has to do that, isn't it? So everything has its own personal essence. But then if you go deeper into all things, they have a common essence. Now see, that personal essence of that thing is superficial. The common essence of all things is deeper, and that is really the true essence of all things. And that is called the Atma. So therefore the Atma here and the Atma there, they are one and same. It is really the true self of the thing. True essence of the thing. That is the idea. Like that you think. Now you go on reflecting in this. I cannot sit here and in the whole lecture reflect on one word with you. I can, but you will not like that also. So, Atma, it is called Param. That great big essence, Stimita Gambhiram, is called as Param. Param means that which is beyond, which is untouched. It is unaffected by anything which is going on. So what is going on in the world? Change is going on. Coming and going. All things are going on in this world, correct? You are coming, things are coming and things are going. Life and death and so many things are happening. Change is happening in this world. So that thing which is Param means that which is beyond all the things of the world, means unaffected by all the things of the world. You see? They're called Param. Brahma, Brihatvat Brahma means that which is huge, infinite. Here, Brahma means infinite. And you will see Guruji has given nice definitions for many of these words and all. Okay. You can go and read that. But my job is to explain to you so that you will be able to reflect on these things. So that which is big, big, how big? That's Timita Gambhiram. Sat is how big? Well, bigger than the biggest big. Means infinite. Satyam is reality, Brahma. Satyam, Jnanam, Anantam Brahma. Brahma is described as Anantam. Ananta means limitless. That is how big. Brahma. Satyam iti adika buddhaihi. By the wise ones, it is called as Satyam, etc. I think in America you pronounce that word differently, you know. Etc. But here in Trinidad, etc. So, Satyam, it is called as Satyam, that which is Trikala Tishtati iti Sat. That reality stays same in all three periods of time. Doesn't wane. Doesn't get bigger or smaller. Same. Remains in all three periods. Kalpita Vyavaharadham. Why are all of these words given? About something which is Anakhyam, nameless. About something which the mind cannot say anything. About something which the mind doesn't know. Because the mind also is a product of that something. Why all of these names given? Very nicely it is explained in this verse number 6 here. Kalpita Vyavaharartham Tasya Sanya. All of these names are given for or invented, as it were. Kalpita. Invented, as it were. For what? Vyavaharartham. For transactional purposes. Means for me to see if I am speaking about a thing. Well, we do not find it convenient enough to say the thing. What are you talking about? The thing. Which thing? The thing, na? But when we say like this, the thing, that doesn't really convey much. You know? It doesn't take the mind closer. When we say Brahma, Brihatvat Brahma, Anantam Brahma, it is a limitless. Oh, now the mind is drawn in a particular direction, isn't it? Brahma is Ananta. Oh, that thing is Ananta. Yes. What is the meaning of Ananta? No, but if I say thing, well, thing can really connote anything. So these words are all adopted by the rishis, Buddhaihi, the wise ones, for transactional purposes or for leading the mind in a particular direction. You see, like when the finger points to the moon, the finger is not the moon. Wherever the finger is pointing, there the moon will be. So, in the same way, the word Brahma is not the reality. The word Brahma is pointing the mind in a certain direction. Param is pointing the mind in a certain direction. Atma, Ritam, all the words which are given. Satyam, they are all meant to point the mind in a certain direction. Wherever it is pointing, there the reality will be. So the words are all adopted by the rishis for this reason, by the wise ones for this reason. Okay. Now, if the whole world is present in the reality, and the whole universe present in the reality, and the whole universe comes forth from the reality, and again dissolves into the reality, and comes forth into manifestation, and again demanifest back into reality, and all such things. People constantly have two questions with regard to this: how and why. These two questions always are there. Well, the scriptures do not venture too much into answering why, but it does go some bit into answering how. Please get this. It really deals more with the question of how rather than why. And the reason is this. See, the reality is there, containing every possible infinite number of things. And how many things are possible in this universe? Infinite number of things are possible, isn't it? There is no such thing as this is not possible or that is not possible. If something is not possible, that means it is missing in the reality. If it is missing from that reality, that means the reality is not complete. Once something is missing, it's not purna, and it's not infinite. Infinite means it contains everything. So, when we look at this reality, we try to explain how it manifests into all things. That is attempted by scriptures. Why it manifests into all things, that is left very much unattended. And the reason is this thing. For a thing that is of a particular nature, the human being doesn't waste his time to explain why. Look, I'll give you an example. Water is wet, correct? Have you ever attempted to answer why? Sugar is sweet. People waste time to go and tell why. That is its nature. So, when we are speaking about the nature of a thing, we never give a why. We just say that is its nature. See, sky is colorless. Sky is colorless. Anybody has tried to explain why? Do you want to try? No. How is that something we can say? How this thing has come to be like this? There may be a cause. So cause and effect is how. So that we try. We try to explain that thing. You see? Why is with regards to the nature of a thing. So that we don't explain. That some things are just like that. Why is light bright? Or why do your eyes see and your ears hear? Why not the other way around? It's a futile question. The nature of the eyes is to see. Nature of the ears is to hear. So you don't ask that type of question. So why is the universe coming into manifestation and going out of manifestation? That is its nature. The nature of the reality to manifest things and demanifest. And this, like river. Why is the river flowing? It is flowing. Going. And it goes into the ocean, again evaporates, falls over there, and again comes. And that is the way it is. This is the easiest answer. That is the way it is. Why is water wet? That is the way it is. Why do eyes see? That is the way it is. That is a futile question to ask. Why? So here also now, the scripture is going to tell how, not why. It is true that this is manifesting and demanifesting, and that is going, and that is an eternal process. That is the way it is. And it didn't start at a certain time, nor would it end at any other time. Huh? Now the how is the inner mechanism of how it works. And that is attempted in the scriptures, the Srishti. I told you previously, it is being ushered from one state of unmanifest into another state. That means in that state it is already present, but now it is now taking on names and forms. Like for example, the clump of clay which went into making this. That clump of clay already possessed the capability or the possibility of taking this nama rupa. Otherwise we would not have been able to make the clump of clay into this pot. In the clump of clay there must be present the possibility, as many other possibilities. It can also take the nama rupa of a dog. So if that is not present in the clump of clay, this object cannot be produced. So in the very same way, now in that reality, all the things which we see in this universe, they are all there in that possible form. And now that reality is manifest as human being, as microphone, as trees and sky and stars and all the countless infinite number of things in the universe. All of it is present, and it just comes from that unmanifest into manifest. This is called as srijati. Not created. Don't translate that word as created. You translate the word as manifest. Okay. Now see here. This is explained in a possible explanation is given in now number 7 very nicely. Satatha bhuta evatma swayamanya ivollasan jivatam upayativa mananat स्थूलतां गतः. Oh, some verses in scriptures, some verses in scriptures require a lifetime of thinking. This is one such verse. It will require a lifetime of thinking. There are so many verses in Bhagavad Gita like that. You can never finish thinking. You can never finish reflecting on those verses. The one wonderful thing you can do in your life is to catch some of those verses and go on reflecting on them. You will realize that there is no end. So this is one of them. What's sa? Saritam, sa atma, which is given in the previous verse. Sa tatha bhuta evatma, sa atma, see given. Swayam anya iva ullasan. And before I continue, let me just tell you one more thing. In this verse, there is a little tiny word, smallest word in Sanskrit. One of the smallest words in Sanskrit. And here in this Yoga VAASISHTHA and everywhere in the teachings of the Upanishads and the Bhashya of Bhagavan Shankaracharya, this word is the most important word. This word is called as iva. Iva. Iva means as though. As though. And in this verse, the importance of the word is highlighted or highlighted. The importance of the word is accentuated. Why? How? It is used twice, so that we'll think again on it, right? 2 times in one verse. So now, the first appearance of the word there is Swayam Anyat Iva Ullasan. It is as though, now this is trying to explain how the unmanifest appears as the manifest. The unmanifest, or that supreme reality, as though mananat, through thinking, thinks itself into the universe. Oh, what a tremendous, that's why I told you this verse requires a lifetime of reflection. It thinks itself into becoming the universe. It thinks itself into becoming other than itself. Kya baat hai? Swayam Anyat Iva. That is as though. It does not become anything other than itself. The wonderful example is given in the Mundaka Upanishad of the spider. I told you, the spider emits from its own self a web. I don't know if you have seen, depends on where you have been brought up, but I have seen, like for example, right here in front of me, the spider is hanging from there and it's hanging on a string, web. So where is the web coming from? The spider only. And it's coming down. That means what? He's emitting web and he's going lower and lower. And then you disturb him a little bit. Hey, where are you going? Like that. Then quickly starts again going up. So where is the web going now? Back inside. So the web came from inside of him, and again the web is going back into him. In other words, that web is being emitted and the web is being absorbed. And who is doing spider? Well, the universe is very much akin. That example is given for this only. From that reality, the reality thinking, mananat, thinking itself into names and forms, and again withdrawing all the names and forms. And when it thinks itself into names and forms, it is as though the things which have been thought into existence, those things become anya, other, as though. But since the reality is all pervasive, like when a wave is formed, the wave has to be formed in water only. It cannot leave water and form itself outside water. So the nama rupa, which is formed, Srishtir nama Brahma Rupe. Srishti is nothing but in Brahma. Abdhau Penadivat Sarva. Nama Rupa Prasarana. Like in the big vast ocean of consciousness is manifest all names and forms, and again demanifest into the vast consciousness. And the things which manifest, they are as though apart from that reality, but they are not apart from the reality. The wave is as though something distinct from ocean, but can never be distinct or separate from the ocean. And jivatam upayati iva. Again with the second line, jivatam, jivahood is also only iva, as though, separate. A jiva is as though separate from Ishvara. Jiva can never be separate from Ishvara. So iva is again used. You may feel yourself separate from, distinct, different, all that. But your feeling is of no consequence actually. See, what you feel and what the truth is, they are always two different things. This is one of the shortcomings of human beings. What we feel and what the truth is, they are always two different things. How big do you feel the moon is? Well, as a child, I'm seeing the moon every evening on the eastern side there. I feel it is about that big. But the moon, your feeling has nothing to do with truth. Our feeling and knowledge also many times has very little. All people of Europe used to think that the earth is flat. But I know the earth is flat. A person will be convinced also it is in the wrong knowledge. The earth is not flat. So even what I know and think and feel and all that has no bearing on truth. Truth is truth, apart from what we think of, believe, or feel, or all such things. You see? So I may feel I am separate from Ishvara, I am separate from this person, that person, the other thing. That is your feeling only. I am not separate from, and never separated from God. I can never be separated. Jivatam, jivahood, the feeling of being a limited, unconnected being, that is only a manner of speaking, that I am disconnected. I could never be disconnected. Manana stulatam gataha. That reality seems to have taken, become grossified. The reality seems to, it is as though it has become grossified. Do you know? If you really go on thinking about all what we call as gross, sthula vastu, you will realize it can never be gross also. That is why Iva. There is no such thing as gross. Gross and subtle is only from a very relative, superficial standpoint. How? I'll show you. See this object. Sthula or Sukshma? Well, Sthula is a gross object, correct? Okay. Now see. You just think a little bit. You be with me now and think. You call it Sthula? Yes. This object is known to me through my 5 senses, correct? Yes. Okay. Now, what is happening for me to know this thing? There's a very very complex teaching in Vedanta. But anyway, for me to know this thing, what has to happen? My mind has to go out through my 5 senses and envelop this thing. Through the 5 senses, the mind has to go out and envelop this thing. And when the mind envelopes this thing, the mind takes the nama, rupa of this thing. The mind takes the form of this thing that time. That taking of the form of the thing removes the ignorance of this thing. And at that time, there's something else which takes place called as phalavyapti. I say, I know this thing. The vritti which is there in the mind is illumined by the reality in my mind. So now, to perceive that, a vritti of that thing has to be formed in my mind. Okay? That vritti has to be illumined by the background consciousness. Do you know, both the vritti of the thing and the background consciousness, they are one and same. A vritti is only a manifestation of consciousness. The vritti of this thing in the mind, and that is the only time it is known. A vritti has to be formed, and the vritti has to be illumined by consciousness. Then only I can say, I know it. So a vritti is nothing but a modification of consciousness. And the illumination is again pure consciousness. So now, everything that is going on in the mind is what now? Consciousness. But consciousness is not a gross thing. Consciousness is a subtle thing. So just now you were calling it as gross. But that is only from a very superficial standpoint. Everything in the universe can be resolved into subtle consciousness. That is the idea. So he says, Sthulatam gataha iva. It is as though the iva has to be used with everything in the universe. It is as though things have become sthula, grossified. But really, you know, it is like this. if water which is gas is subtle, then you make water which is from gas, from vapor, you make it into liquid, then it has become a little bit more gross. Because in vapor you could not see it, so it was more subtle. As water, it becomes a little bit more gross. Then you make it into ice, then it becomes even more gross, right? So water keeps going from this state of gas to liquid to solid. But at the same time, nothing really changes in H2O. In gas state, gaseous state, it was H2O. In liquid state, it is H2O. In solid state, it is still H2O. So H2O has become grossified or what? No, that's only a manner of speaking, isn't it? That's why Iva. It is as though H2O has become grossified. But if you really look into the ice, what you will see is the same plain H2O molecule. No change. No change. It has taken on Nama Rupa, taken on form. Therefore, the verse says it is just all, the whole universe is just all a play of Srishtir Nama Brahma Rupe Satchidananda Vastuni Abdau Phenadi, what? Less like in the ocean. All froth and bubble and all things are coming and going. It's just all Nama Rup, names and forms, playing in the reality. This is the idea. Now see, this is all pure Vedanta, you know. And wait, what to say? You all chose this text. So you have to now reflect on it. So the word Iva, it is as though it has gone into some different state or something has changed, and that can, but nothing has changed. Like the water, gas, liquid, solid, same H2O. No change has taken place. There's an apparent change that we accept in Vedanta. In Vedanta, we accept an apparent change, not a real change. So we do not accept Parinamavad, where they think like milk changing into curd. It really changed. You can't, there's no reversal process. Can you? Okay, you invent some machine, you take all the curd and you change it back to milk. It's not going to happen. That is called parinama, change. What we say? It's a vivartavad. There's an appearance, abhasavad. There's an appearance of a nama roop on the same thing. So the same H2O, the nama roop here is vapor. The same H2O, nama rupa now superimposed on that H2O, here is liquid. And here, nama rupa superimposed again on the same H2O, it is ice. You see? No changes really taking place. Just the appearance of nama rupa prasadana, like that. But what in the verse is very, very interesting is how the process, not why, how the process happens. And this is all captured by one word. And this is only a possible explanation of things. Mananat, by thinking. In other words, the reality thinks itself into the universe. There's a very interesting thought which you have to go on reflecting on. Mananat. And by that, Anyativa, Ullasan, appears as different from himself, itself. Now, 2 minutes or 5 minutes of reflection on that verse could never do justice to that verse. You will have to go on reflecting again and again on that verse. That's, I told you, there are some verses, they require a lot of thinking. Now, because that process of the reality thinking itself into the universe, by mere thinking manifesting the universe, people will ask, but how? Well, I told you that is a possible explanation. What is the more common explanation? Really, it is a juggler's slay of hand. Really. In meaning to say what? That process is inscrutable. It's very, It's very difficult for the human mind to conceive of that process. Just like the little boy telling his parents. He said, when I get married, I will not invite either of you to my wedding. But the parents were surprised, So they asked, why? He said, because when both of you got married, you did not invite me to your wedding. And they look here. This fellow, he was a product of the marriage. How can he be invited to the marriage? Only because of the marriage, he was produced. The marriage was a prerequisite for his existence. So at the time of the marriage, he was not there. When the marriage took place, then he came into manifestation. This is from an ordinary standpoint we are talking. So, if that marriage had not taken place, his manifestation would not have occurred. You see? So the product really cannot know the process which was responsible for its production. So the mind, our mind, which is the product, cannot really know the process responsible for its production. Therefore, the scriptures go on using this type of words. What? It is as a juggler's state, a slay of hand. Jugglery. Magical thing. Which happened. That now is given in the next verse. Now see this number 8. This will be. Mano bhavati bhutatma taranga iva varidhehe tene yamindrajala shrihi jagati pravitanyate mano bhavati bhutatma manaha bhavati. The reality, which is called just now Ritam, Atma, which is called as so many names, Brahma, Sat, all such things, Satyam, all those things. That reality is Bhutatma. Bhutatma manaha bhavati. That reality becomes the mind. Which mind? All of our minds, including the cosmic mind. How? Taranga iva varidhehe. Just like the ocean becomes all the waves. How many waves? Countless waves. In the same way, the ocean becomes all, one ocean is how big? Vast. One big ocean becomes countless waves. So in the same way, one limitless Atma, Bhutatma, becomes all these minds and all the nama roop, names and forms and things in the universe. That is the idea. Tena iyam indrajala shrihi jagati. Say indrajala means it is juggler's hand. How it happens? By juggler's hand, by magic as though. In other words, just now the same process which was saying mananat. And that's why I was telling you, it is a possible explanation so that our mind will have something to grapple with. The reality, thinking the world into existence. Here now, just in the very next verse now it is saying, Tena iyam indrajala shrihi. It is, well, indrajala shrihi, jugglery. The translation says jugglery. Like it's a magical slay of hand of the reality. In other words, that is to tell, we really don't know how it happens. And for a logical reason also. Because the product is trying to understand its source. That is not going to happen. This is a truism about the universe which we cannot overcome. Like it is in other simple language also, this hand can hold this instrument. This hand can hold an object. But the hand cannot hold itself. So while the mind can cognize objectifiable things, its source cannot be cognized. Because its source needs to keep on feeding the mind to afford the mind the power to cognize. Like a dog trying to catch its tail. You may have seen that in villages, and I have seen many times. That dog is spinning around trying to catch its own tail. But when he spins around to catch the tail also spins. That is why all our sadhana talks about what? Remain quiet. Sit quietly. Be calm. Tranquil. Let that mind dissolve slowly and slowly as it become more and more quiet. When it becomes more and more quiet, it is dissolving. Because the nature of the self is Shanta Swarup. It is by nature calm and peaceful. So if I make the mind quieter and quieter and quieter and more calm and still, that mind will dissolve in the background stillness and quietude. Not that the mind will know the background quietude and stillness, it will dissolve in that background quietude and stillness. This is the idea. So, the question as to how it happens, how the reality really manifests as the universe, well, this is what the scripture has to offer. Because of logical reasons, it cannot be said. But it's just jugglery. It is, or if you want to put in more sophisticated, meaningful language, you may say, it is that the reality is such that it contains countless possibilities within it, and a possibility just emerges at any time, at any place. It is like when the fire is lighting of the Mundaka Upanishad, when that fire is lighting, which spark will come out when and where and from which side of the fire, who can tell? But its nature is to go on giving sparks. So here also, what will manifest in the universe, where and when and all that, nobody knows. It will just, its nature is to manifest, but nobody can know that. And all the manifested things already, like our mind, which is all manifested things, cannot know the source of the manifestation, cannot somersault back to know. There's a limitation of the mind. Okay. So the whole world is just a big spread of this reality. The Srishti is just a big spread of this reality, manifesting its magical power. Now, what is this magical power of this reality? That's also very interesting. The magical power of this reality is called by many, many names. And see, this is why I keep telling people, what happens is we get too caught up with too many words. Actually, the best thing is to just take one word and study it well, because that one word really connotes what all the other words are connoting. Same thing only. You'll see here now. This magical power by which the reality manifests as this whole universe, that magical power is given many, many names. See how many names here, number 9. Avidya samsritir mohaha bandho maya malam tamaha iti namani tasyascha kalpitani bhavanti iti namani tasyahacha. So many names are given for this magical power. Kalpitani, imagined, invented, adopted, like that. Kalpitani, let me see what is given here. Coined. Yeah. Nice. Coined. For this magical power. Indeed. Now, what are these names? I think I am counting 7 of them. Avidya. Then Samsritihi. Then mohaha, bandhaha, maya, malam, tamaha. 7 names I think are there. And this is not exhaustive list. There will be other words also. Avyakta namni, paramesha shaktihi, ityadi in Vivek Chudamani you will see so many names are given there. But here 7 names are given. So that magical power is called as avidya, first of all. I'll give you an example of what avidya. See, we say all of this has manifested from that reality, right? So why that reality called as avidya? Like this. Right now I am talking and you are not talking. Correct? Right. Hopefully. But when I am finished talking, you will go back to your regular life and you will start talking. Correct? Okay. So now I only have a few minutes left. 15 minutes, let us say. But after that 15 minutes, you will be talking for the rest of the day. Now, at 2 in the afternoon, do you know what you will be saying? No. You don't know. Nobody knows. I could be saying anything. Unless you have a written speech already, you have to deliver at 2 o'clock, you don't know what you'll be saying. So, you have no knowledge or you're ignorant of what you're going to be saying at 2 p.m. Okay? Correct? Right. Now one more thing. Whatever you are going to be saying at 2 o'clock, that thing has to already be inside of you or not? It has to be. Because suddenly at 2 o'clock, you cannot speak an English word which you don't know. Means whatever vocabulary you're going to be using at 2 o'clock, that vocabulary already has to be sitting inside. Now see, what a peculiar state of existence. What you don't know means you are ignorant of what you're going to be speaking at 2 o'clock. But whatever you're going to be speaking at 2 o'clock, that thing has to already be present. This is our present state, correct or not? So all the countless words you're going to be speaking at 2 o'clock, all of those countless words are already inside, but I don't know what will come out and how it will come out or nothing. Means I'm ignorant. But I'm ignorant about something which is already there. That is why this whole big vast Stimisa Gambiram is called as avidya. Because everything is already there. What will come out? We don't. What will manifest? And when? We don't know. Tomorrow or pralay can manifest. That's why Kabir Sahib says, what? Kal kare so aaj kare. Aaj kare so ab. Whatever you have to do tomorrow, do today. Whatever you have to do. Na jane kab pralay hoegi. Nobody knows when pralay will happen. So, that thing is called as avidya because it contains everything, but we don't know. It is the very source of all things, and nobody knows. Just like at the individual level, I don't know what I'm going to be saying or doing or anything, but my capability to do has to already be present. But I don't know what I'll be doing or saying. Samsritihi it is called, samyak sarati, which goes on nicely, means all the time changing. It means all the time manifesting, demanifesting, manifesting, demanifesting. That big reality, magical power is called as samsritihi. It's called as moha. This moha word I dealt with on the first day. Shoka moha. It's called as delusion. That big power is called as delusion. It means what? It means that reality has the power to make something appear other than what it is. So that reality is infinite, but it has the power to delude us into thinking that everything is finite. This is finite, this is finite. It has the power to make things appear finite. That is called a delusion. In other words, it has the power to hide its own essence and let itself appear as something else other than its essence. What a tremendous power. They call it moha. So the power to hide its infinite nature and appear as finite. The power to hide its all-pervasiveness totally and appear that it is not even there. Like that, called moha, bandha. It is called as bondage also. That thing which is Satchita Ananda Swarupa. It's the Ananda Swarup, but which appears as what? Bondage, which translates into sorrow. I told you, no? Bondage translates into sorrow. With Ananda Swarup to appear dukkha? What a power! That magical power of the reality. It's Maya. Ya ma sa Maya. That which is not is called as Maya, but still it makes itself appear as is. Bhavarupa. Abhavarupa. It appears as Bhavarupa. That which is not present to appear as present, like a snake on a rope. No snake is there, but it appears. So Maya, that reality is also called as Malam. Means that which is Shuddha, Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swarup. That which is Shuddha, it appears Ashuddha. Malam. It means that which has no defects, no infirmities, no shortcomings, nothing. It appears with all defects. Malam. Tamaha. That which is of the nature of pure knowledge. Sat. Chit is the second word. Pure knowledge. Chit. Satyam Jnanam. It appears as ignorance. Means I don't know. Look, I don't know what is behind that wall. So the same reality which is of the nature of pure knowledge is manifesting as my mind, but the mind has ignorance. Amazing. It appears as ignorance. Avidyantama. Okay, now iti namani tasyaha cha. These are the names of that big magical power of the reality. Kalpitani bhavanti. They are all coined. Think what I told you? Coined. Adopted for that reality. Okay. All right. Now I will stop there and we will